Good afternoon on what is a bright and sunny afternoon. It is Saturday the 30th of October. I am back in the reading nook with a cat who is not ours, and of course a nice hot cup of tea. And what I'm looking at today is Epic Encounters The Hills Have Legs from Steam Forged Games. Now, this was a release for Free RPG Day, which took place on Saturday, October the 16th, at your local, your friendly local gaming store. Hopefully, you have a friendly local gaming store, and they were participating, and you were able to get to the store on the day of the event and pick up one of the array of many interesting titles that came out for the day. If you don't have a friendly local gaming store, there are definitely friendly gaming stores who may have some of these in stock, or they would certainly do mail order and so on. And one of those is Fanboy 3, and I mentioned about Fanboy 3 in particular because I want to thank David Salisbury for providing this for me to do the overview here in the Nook, and also do a review later on. Without his help, I wouldn't have these to hand, basically, and be able to talk about them. So, Steam Forged Games, they're based in Manchester in the UK, and they produce essentially mini adventures and dioramas to go with those adventures. It includes so you will get maps and counters and scenario and miniatures to go with it. It's all very well produced, as you can see by the. Let's just move that behind, out the way of the tail. The full colour back cover and the cover. Okay, so we have Epic Encounters, Web of the Spider Tyrant. Black eyes glint in the darkness. In these caves lurks an ancient fear, old as time, and twice as deadly. Fear of spiders. None are more deserving of that fear than the Spider Tyrants, giant primeval creatures with hideous intelligence and impossible speed. Few who encounter one will survive, and those that do are forever changed. Will you step into the web? Now, this sort of ties into sort of our fears of obviously our fears of spider and arachnophobia, but also, classically in fantasy literature, Shelob. From Return of the King, part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and accounted by Sam and Frodo as they enter Mordor. So it's that kind of thing. And as you can see on the back, you have a really great picture of a spider and her victims wrapped up in their thick webs. And she's basically coming out at you on the front cover. Inside, essentially, we have a welcome to the Free RPG Epic Day encounter, and a guide to what the book is about. And there's essentially is that we have a tier of play suggestion on how to use it. So, for low levels, difficulty 12, damage level 4, D4, middle level 5 to 10. Difficulty goes up to 14, D8 damage, higher levels 10 plus, 18 difficulty check, and damage level D10. So this is I don't want to mention, but this is a little adventure or encounter for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Essentially, you must descend into the depths of a Spider Tyrant's desert burrow to extract a foolish friend from the sticky embrace of the creature's web. The problem? The burrow is home to a group of goblins living quite happily as parasites on the Spider Tyrant's leftovers, and they aren't about to see their cushy little setup be disrupted, especially as they set the trap that captured your friend. And it carries a warning that this adventure is tough. The goblins you're facing are dug in, hunkered down, and they are not going to be taken lightly. At least one player character may die. Players should be aware of this. If you're going to run the encounter as written, it's epic, alright, but it sure ain't pretty. Of course, it's possible to adjust this counter, skip certain elements, or tune down some abilities in order to make it less deadly. That's your choice as the GM. So essentially that's the hook, that's the danger presented, and essentially that's the warning. We have to literally go into the first climb, and we encounter with these goblins who've been living down in the dark alongside the spider feeding off her detritus. and so we'll get into the meat locker, and we have the first of the maps. Go nice and bright. That's going to look better with some miniatures on it, of course, and then we have other maps in here as well. Now, Steamforged Games do a starter set, and I have reviewed that. You'll find a review of that on my blog if you look up Steamforged Games. Okay, and here we have final, and basically, I quite like the product. It's got a couple of issues, but it's very nicely presented. And here we have the essentially the encounter itself, location on the web of the Spider Tyrant, and we have crazed goblins, crazed prophet goblins, I think, because that's in the room of prophecy. There we go. So yeah, full colour artwork, nice clear maps. You want to put your miniatures down on there, and then you have the stats for the various creatures at the end. So a funnel goblin warrior, a spider webling, and essentially you have individual characters. So you have big job, little job, funnel goblin assassins, one on top of the other, basically running piggyback. Spiders as mounts in true kind of drow style, and Callisto and Europa funnel goblin witch queens, and Papa Io, you have the goblin chief. So you have individual NPCs down there as well as the mass ones, and that gives everything a bit of character, and presents a proper kind of threat, but bits of colour to the threat the player characters are facing. So what's good about this essentially is it's short, and of course it's because it's free up at each day, it's meant to be short, but it will present a single session of play, plenty of threats, some story. You've lost your friend, you need to go down and find it in this cave system, and you can run this without the need for the maps, or indeed miniatures and so on, but that's part of what Steamforged does, essentially box sets with encounters and miniatures and maps. But this one isn't reliant upon that at all, and the other thing essentially is once you've got it at your table, the setup is really simple. A missing friend, they went into a spider's pit, you have to go and rescue them, and that's really easy to set up and drop into your campaign. Or even if you're just running as a demo scenario, here's the situation, go and do this. It harks back to that kind of basic situation in D&D where, okay, here's a demo scenario. You look at the very first kind of editions of basic D&D in particular, where you have scenarios going, okay, goblins have raided your village and they've stolen some of your friends, go and rescue them. And it's that kind of thing, but this is a little bit more interesting. Your friend has done something foolish, you're going to go and rescue him, and yes, there are goblins, but they're related to spiders, so there's a bit more flavour and colour to them. And then essentially the other thing about this is that despite this, the hills have legs, and yes, you will be encountering basically goblins and spiders. Most of what you'll be encountering here is goblins. You won't be encountering the Spider Tyrant at all. The Spider Tyrant is kind of saved for essentially confront the Spider Tyrant in the next epic encounter coming soon from Steamforged Games. So this is an introduction, or basically this is an introductory adventure to a forthcoming box set, which is fine. I mean, the thing is, you don't necessarily have. You could basically easily have. You don't need that to play through this at all. You can easily have your friend be rescued at the end of this scenario, and then go and confront the tyrant. As if the player characters want to, and essentially, so it's fairly flexible, and essentially, presumably, whether the Spider Tyrant is the name of the encounter box set for basically that this is an introduction to. So if you think about this, then if you've got this in that box set, you can basically double the adventure. But this you'll easily play through in a session. I would have thought you might get 2, depending upon your players, but really a session is about the right length for this. Anyway, thanks again for watching another basic overview and unboxing here in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, please do click the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you posting them, and I do read them. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings here in the Nook, where you will see me generally with a package from which I will unpack a book or a game, or currently I'm doing these overviews of the free RPG Day titles released in 2021. Essentially, where and you'll see me here talking about this to the best extent of my knowledge for 10 minutes or so, all accompanied, of course, by a nice hot cup of tea. And a cat, which is not ours, is down here on my lap. He's being very quiet. Please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you again for watching, and I'll be back again soon with another unboxing video. Bye for now.